Here is how the sun looked like while I was in Lapland from March 3 to 9 last year. A clean yellow disk with a few sunspots, even too few. We need to keep an eye on the sun because it is the main character of this story. It may sound strange, but what we are looking for at night depended on what was going on the sun by the day. So let's have a better look in the X-rays, showing the activity of the upper atmosphere of the sun taking place on those days. At higher energies, we can see the conditions of the external atmosphere of the sun, the corona. There were 3 large dark areas, openings of the external atmosphere of the sun, where the magnetic field escapes from the star and lets huge vents of matter flow away, the coronal holes. In fact, a huge amount of matter can escape the sun when the magnetic activity is suitable for that. The magnetic field loops over the sunspots, these dark areas, called their deeps in the solar surface. They are the true hubs of the solar activity, and the eruptions crackling above the sunspots produce flares, prominences, eruptions. And the amount of sunspots is crucial to keep high the solar activity. In fact, it follows a long cycle of over 11 years. The current solar cycle has just reached its maximum, and this is why this is a good time to go see the northern lights. Although the current cycle is the weakest of those that have been recorded so far, 24 of them. Nevertheless, above the sunspots, a huge amount of energy is released through those eruptions that can spit out in space enormous masses of particles, real clouds and bubbles of solar matter. They are the coronal mass ejections. And they are made of matter, electrons, protons, other ions. And altogether, they create the solar wind. A wind blowing away far and fast at speeds of 500, 1,000, even 300,000 kilometers per second. And such cascades of solar magma have a dreadful elegance. Yet, it is right there that the secret of the aurora is hidden. They depend on those tornadoes of fire, representing the climax of the infernal power of the sun. It seems unbelievable, but the icy arc of the northern lights originates in the hellish heat of the solar eruptions. Here, the blow of the solar wind springs up. As it flies away, we will try to follow it, because when huge bubbles of particles leave the sun, somebody very far away may be so lucky to find himself along their path, along their journey. And in fact, 2 days later, we were right there, waiting. Apparently, all this inferno seems to have nothing to do, seems to be completely unrelated to the beauty of the northern lights. Instead, what we will receive 2 days later will be the glancing blow of the solar wind to the earth. It was damn cold out there, waiting for the aurora. At night, the temperature dropped down to 29 degrees below zero. And there we were, with our binoculars, cameras, tripods, all buckled up, trying to not to freeze up, wearing 2 pairs of gloves, 4 socks, and 5 layers of warm dresses to protect us from the Arctic night that does not forgive. Regardless of all this gear, the air would freeze inside our nose when breathing. After an hour outside, the cameras would fail. The flexible shooting wire became stiff and could not operate any longer. We didn't have other options other than seeking shelter inside in our cottage, using a hair dryer to defrost our cameras, taking a warm break before going out again, with a thermos of hot tea while waiting for the aurora. The wait was long, the cold sidereal. I was holding my breath as I reached the coldest temperatures of my entire life. Meanwhile, something was going on in space right above us. A quick stream of particles blown away by the sun was en route to the Earth, and it was due to arrive any time. We met in Lapland on an icy night of March.